360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories, broadcasting and live streaming to millions of devices around the world, including Roku, and live streaming to Facebook Live. Also on Amazon Fire TV and to Twitch. Also Android TV and Periscope. Broadcasting to Apple TV and YouTube Live. Proudly brought to you by our host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Michaela Vidal, host and administrator, and Jim Grant, producer and host. Proudly brought to you by the 6minutewebinar.com.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Messages of Inspirational Stories. Jim, here we are. It is Thursday already.
Thursday? I thought yesterday was Wednesday.
We have had an incredible week talking about young entrepreneurs. They are our future.
Yes, they are. And Donna, some of the stories that we've shared, including the stories we're going to share today and also tomorrow on Friday's show, it makes us all, us adults, just kind of like sit back and take notice.
Right? And in awe.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, Donna and I, we want to say this before we get started. We are so humble, so thankful that our ratings have went up. Our numbers have increased. And we just want to say thank you from the bottom of our heart. And in appreciation during the show today, we're going to be sharing with you some complimentary gifts. Ladies and gentlemen, all total, it's worth thousands of dollars.
It is.
It really is. And that's our way of saying thank you. These complimentary gifts, there's no sales pitches to them.
Nope.
There's no follow-up for sales or anything like that. These are just complimentary gifts from friends of ours because they're associated with us here at the TV show. And we're so grateful. So we just want to pass those blessings right on to you. No strings attached. And, you know, Donna, right before the show, ladies and gentlemen, we never script anything. And the reason why, and if you're a podcaster, take a note of this. If you're scripting stuff, you're using your head. Your head will get you in trouble because you got to come from the heart. And when you come from the heart, the energy will come to you and there will be a thought that will come to you that you hadn't thought of.
Right. Because
there might be one person out there that needs to hear it. And if that's the case, we've done our mission today, Donna.
We have. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's so interesting about the young entrepreneurs, Jim. And the one thing that it really blows my mind is how so many of these young entrepreneurs have the foresight to see ways in which to help everybody.
Oh, goodness gracious. And Donna, you just rang a thought in my mind when you was talking about young kids and all that, because a lot of these young entrepreneurs, they are kids. I mean, some of them can't even drive a car yet.
Right. Some are as young as 8 years old.
Yeah. And it reminds me as a boy growing up, and we all have these stories. Growing up, you look at kids, think back when you were 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. Your friends, you know, you just enjoyed them being your friends. Mm-hmm. You really did. And, you know, I had, growing up in North Carolina, I had, you know, white friends and black friends, but I didn't look at them as white and black. I looked at them as friends.
Exactly.
Yeah, I called them by their name. And I told Donna right before the show, ladies and gentlemen, I was so naive growing up. And I'm so thankful I was so naive growing up. And I give a lot of credit to my mother and dad, because I had never heard the word prejudiced in my life till I went into the Army. And I was 19 years of age then. And I remember I said, what does that mean? I've never heard of that word. And they told me, and I said, well, I'm glad now I've never heard of that word because that's not who I am. And
Right.
I'm thankful that my roots, my mother and dad instilled in me growing up, that will never be an issue with me. Now,
Right.
I'm not saying I love everybody. There's some people I can't stand, but it's an individual thing, you know.
Right.
Some people are just, some people bring, like my dad used to say, son, some people bring happiness when they come into the room, and others bring happiness when they leave the room.
Right.
So you should always focus on being the guy that brings happiness when you come into the room.
Absolutely.
And that is so true. But these young entrepreneurs,
Wow.
like you said, Donna, when they see a need that can help someone else, they jump right to it.
Right. And I commend their parents. Holy cow. Because their parents are obviously behind them. And, the beauty that I see with these young entrepreneurs is because they are young, they're
Yes.
not having to worry about, food on the table, rent over their head, all the bills that come with life as we grow up and take on the responsibilities of being an adult. And with that said, it gives them a little bit of an advantage that they can focus and hone in strictly on what they are wanting to achieve and what they do achieve.
Kids just automatically, they start out with the right attitude.
They do.
Because these entrepreneurs, when you hear their stories, these young entrepreneurs, they didn't do it for money.
No.
They did it. A couple of kids, like one little guy they were going to read, he has wanted something, and he said, "Well, I'll try a lemonade stand." He made $900, and
Right.
he said, "Wow, I didn't know you could do that."
Right. Right.
And that's the beauty of young people, because they don't come with all the mental baggage that we do.
Exactly.
And we all have to, kind of like scrub the rust off of us, because all the negativeness in the world is coming at us from all angles. And I encourage you, don't listen to that stuff. Don't listen to anybody that, spews negative things and bad news and all that, because of the fact that they know bad news sells. If everything's okay, it won't sell.
Right. Right. Don't let anybody take the sunshine out of your day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's just that simple. We're born to be, happy. We're born to do something perfectly unique to what we are as a person in life. And don't let anybody take that sunshine from you.
No, not at all. Because if you let them rent free space in your head, you become their servant.
Right. Right.
I don't like that. You?
Yeah. It's, I love the fact that these young people are using applied faith in what they believe in.
Yes, ma'am, they are.
And that is huge in carrying them over into the principles that they are growing with for the rest of their life, Jim.
Oh, yes. Yes. And because they experience success at a young age, they don't let, anything that, doesn't go right destroy them.
Right.
Because a lot of people, they run into failure one time and, they feel like a total failure. And you're not. And Donna, I love what you say. You make a T list there on a piece of paper, and on the left side, you say what went well. And then on the right side, lessons learned.
Lessons learned. Never, ever, ever, folks, use what went wrong. Because that's not true. I mean, it may not have gone right, but you learned from something that was a lesson learned. And and having the right connotation in your wording puts you in a better space to receive what you need to learn from that experience and go forward to gain the success that you're looking for in your life. And when you put the negative connotations in your head, you carry it throughout your entire being, and it changes your energy dynamic.
It really does. And ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is?
What time?
Complimentary time.
Ooh, yay.
I'm going to let you start there, Donna.
Oh, Dr. Grant. George Grant is an amazing, amazing doctor. He holds 3 doctorate degrees. He's worked with the CDC here in the United States and the comparable to the CDC in Canada.
Health.
And
Canadian Health, yeah.
Canadian Health. And of course, he is in Canada. What an amazing man. He has this incredible device called an AO scanner. And it's whoops, let me get this in front of the camera.
Yep.
So it's about the size of a cell phone. And this device will scan you and give you basically an 3D MRI of your entire body, just sitting there in front of the camera. It takes about 5 minutes. Now, the information you get from it takes a lot more than 5 minutes to go through, okay? Because it tells him everything. When he scanned me, he scanned that I had some bacteria in my system and looked at me really funny in the camera and said, Donna, have you eaten sushi lately? And I was like so blown away. I said, oh my gosh, about 2 weeks ago, my husband and I went out and we had some sushi. And he said, no more sushi for you, young lady. He said, that has bacteria in it that is not working with you. So he said, never, ever, ever eat sushi. I'm like, okay.
And I bet if you got sick or something like that, you wouldn't connect that with the sushi.
No.
You wouldn't. No way.
It was crazy. So, Jim, tell him how George came to his book. It is the most fascinating story.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, George got introduced to this man at was 79 years of age. And he was in real bad shape. When I say real bad shape, I mean he was in real bad shape.
He was at the end.
He was sent home on hospice. He had a lot of heart problems, bypasses and all that. He was on like 28 different medications a day. And when he first met Dr. George Grant said, well, the first thing I got to do is get you off of diet soda and start you on water. I don't like water. Well, water likes you. You better like it back. And so it was a bumpy road there in the beginning. My big nose keeps itching today, so I apologize for that. But Dr. Grant started working with him, and the guy started feeling a little bit better. Now, remember, he's 79 years of age. The medical staff, doctors have already told him, we've done everything we can do. There's no more. Right. And so he's got nothing to lose, okay? He's kind of like, okay, well, this is kind of like the last roll of the dice for me, right? And Dr. Grant got him off of bacon, started getting him eating more healthy because he was eating bacon and eggs and anything. He was cooking with grease. I mean, just,
fatty.
He wasn't doing anything right. And no one likes to hear when you go to anybody, whether it's a doctor or a professional, you're not doing anything right. Well, right. Thank you very much. So that was, this wasn't some, he didn't come to him seeking, hey, can you help me? He was pushing it. Dr. Grant was pushing a chain uphill when he initially started with it. And from that, what happened was that the guy's health started improving. And Dr. Grant became inspired. Now, this was in 1998 or 1999 when the man was 79 years of age. But Dr. Grant became inspired to write a book entitled 101 Ways to Live to Be 101. And the inspiration from that book was this 70-year-old man that he met back in the late 1990s, because he turned 101. And ladies and gentlemen, he is still alive today.
Yes.
Now, the beauty in this AO scan is the fact that Dr. Grant normally charges $250 for the scan, and at events, he will give people a discount of $150. But if you get in touch with Dr. George Grant, just go to his website there, academyofwellness.com, and you fill out the questionnaire, and you can schedule a time with him and just say, hey, I heard about you from Jim and Donna on the TV show. He will give you a free AO scan.
And the
That's just
beautiful
one
thing, right? But the beautiful thing about this, folks, is understanding if you have some concerns about your health. This gives you a way to start. It shows you where your markers are good, where your markers are bad, what needs to be improved. And 99.9% of the time, we can actually improve our health by following some simple steps.
Yes.
So here's one that I had to follow: water. So George said to me, Donna, you're not drinking enough water. I said, George, that's preposterous. I said, I drink more water than most people I know. I drink probably 70 some ounces a day, probably maybe even more. And he said, well, you need to drink alkaline water because it's not absorbing into your system. So I looked up how to do alkaline water at home. Since I've been doing that, I'm not drinking the mass quantities I was because the absorption into my system is so much more. And I noticed that within 2 days.
Absolutely. And since when Donna told me that, my first question to her was that, how did you get alkaline water? I mean, how did you make your, and she did research and she found out, I think it was a half a teaspoon of baking soda in a gallon jug
of water.
Water. And make sure you don't use tap water or municipal water.
Properly filtered, etc.
Yes, because at the processing plants there at the municipalities, get my tongue going this morning or this afternoon, excuse me. Their focus is on putting chemicals in the water to kill bacteria, to try to make it as purified as they can, which is their mission. But if you don't filter that water, you get the chemicals in you, and that's not good.
Right.
And so either filter the water, or of course I live out in the country, I have a water well, I don't have to worry about that. But either that or get good water that doesn't have all these chemicals in it. And I tell you what, I find personally that the water tastes just a little bit sweeter.
It's softer.
Yes.
It's softer. It is. There is a softer, literally taste to the water when it hits your mouth. It's truly quite amazing.
And the reason we wanted to share that and share so much detail with you, because we know a lot of times people, when adults especially, they get concerned about their health and then they go to a place that's a very bad place.
Right.
And the sign on that place is called Worryville. They worry. They're scared. And if you're living scared, if you're afraid and you're living in a place where you're scared all the time, you're robbing yourself of the love and the abundance of the universe that you're so richly entitled to. And we encourage you to be able to get in touch with Dr. Grant and take that test. And I could almost guarantee you will not be as bad off as you think. Plus, with the red markers that show up there, you can then email that report to your medical doctor and you can zero in on things that you need to correct. And it's kind of like getting a lease on life. It really is. I mean, Dr. Grant scanned me twice, once several months ago. We had him on the show.
He scanned me twice too, and I didn't know it.
Yeah, first time I didn't know it either. I saw him hold that little thing up. I thought he's I thought he's reading his cell phone, like that.
Right. Okay. When he did that scan of me, and he goes, "Well, these were your numbers before," and I'm like, "Oh, he's sneaky." So he scanned Jim and I when he was on our show. He scanned each of us, and neither of us knew. And it was amazing because some of the markers on both of us had gone from red to green from the first time he scanned us to the second time he scanned us. Yes,
because he told me, he said, Jim, you need to start doing this and this and this and this. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And then when he scanned me again, he said, I'm going to scan you again. This was after the show. So then I knew he was scanning me. And it took about 5 minutes, like Donna says. And then he sent me the detailed report. And then he goes over the report with you. And this takes 45 minutes or longer because it's a very detailed report. He says, you see the previous there, all those red markers? I said, yeah. He says, now you see them green, don't you? And I said, yeah. He says, Jim, you may be 73, but on the inside, you're about 53.
Right, right.
And I'm sitting there and I'm going like, tell me more. I mean, and of course, my question to him, and he thought it was funny. I says, do you have any suggestions to make me young and good looking? He started laughing. Can you believe that? I was serious, ladies and gentlemen. I felt like, I asked a serious question and he laughed at me. I should resemble that remark. But we wanted to share that with you in detail because, when things come to our minds like that, through the love and the energy and compassion we have for people and our, mankind all over the world, we do not want you to live in fear. We do not want get out of Worryville. You can do that today. Set yourself free.
Right.
You have the power and the authority to do that. And we're going to talk about some of these young kids and, oh my goodness, times are flying, but we're enjoying ourselves. But that is a great benefit. I mean, how much money would that be worth to you? Because on the surface, you might say, well, you said it costs $250 and you give discounts $150 and you get it for free. So no, your health is worth a lot more even than $250 or $150. Right. You're going to be talking thousands of dollars in savings because prevention is always better than treatment.
Correct. Well, so this young lady I'd like to talk about, read her story.
Okay.
16 years old, Raya, and I hope I pronounce this correctly, Carmonchi. So she is the founder of and CEO of Smart Kane. When Raya saw her friend's visually impaired grandmother struggling to move around her own home, she knew there had to be a better way. The white cane, that simple tool that helps blind identify obstacles, hadn't really changed in nearly 100 years. I thought that was insane, says the 16-year-old. Change in tech wasn't being distributed equally, not just geographically, but community-wise. She taught herself to code in the 4th grade and has participated in youth innovation programs in Toronto for years. She's talked with a visually impaired community and heard a common refrain. The white cane was great at identifying obstacles on the ground, but users were still vulnerable to things like errant branches and fallen twigs. She started building a device dubbed Smart Kane, using ultrasonic sensors to identify a variety of obstacles and alert the user with vibrations. Different levels of intensity and placement on the cane help signal just where the obstacle is. A navigation system plots a safe route while sensors identify other dangers like wet, slippery sidewalks. With the help of 4 part-time employees, she has raised $85,000 in funding and in-kind services from companies like Microsoft, Aero Electronics, Initia Engineering. Next up is user testing. When you're creating a device for people with the accessibility community, there's a saying that goes, nothing for us without us, she says. Input from the visually impaired has been so important every step along the way. Ideally, Smart Kane will hit the market by mid-2020. So obviously this article's a little old, just in time for her to finish the 11th grade. And while she's open to the idea of eventually attending college, her ultimate dream is a little loftier, become what she calls a unicorn person. Instead of building a company that has a valuation of $1 billion, it's the person that can impact 1 billion people, she explains. It's ambitious, but that's my goal. How beautiful is that?
Holy smokes.
I mean, holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love the fact she says, nothing for us without us.
Right.
Oh, gosh. That reminds me of Les Brown talking. He was on stage in Orlando, and I spoke there too. But shows you how smart I am. I'm standing over there and I'm listening to Les Brown. Les Brown is a tremendous speaker, a
Mhm.
wonderful man, highly respected. He's got a heart of gold. He asked the audience a question. He said, "Where is the richest place on planet Earth?" And I thought, well, I know it isn't where I was born and raised. And I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe Abu Dhabi or someplace. I mean, I'm thinking physically.
Right.
He was talking about a physical place too. But his answer was, do you remember what the answer was,
I
Donna?
do. The
Tell him.
cemetery.
The
The cement.
cemetery.
It's where our hopes and dreams die
Hmm.
because we don't take the moment, the time that we need to fulfill our destination. The idea
Hmm.
here that comes from your heart and put it
Hmm.
into place.
Mm. Amen. And a lot of people, ladies and gentlemen, we've helped people in business, and we asked them a question. Okay, what is it that you want to do?
Right.
And we're expecting them to say, well, I want to be like this young lady. I want to be able to take my program, my product, or whatever I've got, to be able to be a blessing to others. And a lot of times, you know what the answer is?
Hmm.
I want to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Money is the reward that you've earned from your sweat equity and your efforts.
Right.
it's Money is the poorest motivator on planet Earth. I mean, it really is. It's
Right.
amazing, isn't it, Donna?
You should be leading from where your heart is, because when you do that, everything else falls into place.
Yes, ma'am. It sure does. And I'll tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, uh, Donna is a lady that she's a high energy type of lady. And when I say high energy, I'm not talking about hyper. She's a person that helps people get rid of the mental baggage that they have and find their true energy, because we're all a vibration. That's why if you lay down on a sofa and someone's got an indoor water fountain, the water running down there, it's so soothing because the vibration from it is natural and it's in perfect harmony with your inner system, your vibration, your frequency. That's what I'm trying
Right.
to say. And Donna, I tell you, your journey of where you came from and how you overcame your problems. You had 3 brain surgeries to correct an aneurysm.
Correct.
It left you where you cannot talk for 2 years,
Not a
and
full sentence.
not a full sentence. And you struggled with your being a single mom with 3 kids. That was tough on you. But what Donna did, she put together a program to help people in ways that she knew she could help, because this was her journey. And she saw that, hey, I could take my experience of how I got my energy back, how I got my life back, and I can share that with others. And Donna's such a wonderful lady. If you contact her at her website there, donnaguinois.com, or just email her highenergyrightnow@gmail.com. Donna, what kind of a complimentary gift would you give the folks today?
Absolutely. Half an hour together to see where I can help you. Whether it's just a breathing technique I use
Hmm.
myself, I use for my clients to help control anxiety, calm our body down, or whether or not if I can help you with your journey of where you're stuck.
Mm.
A person, a place, or a thing. That's where we get stuck, and those are our triggers. And when
Hmm.
that happens, we can't be in balance and in harmony with our energy. So
Mm.
that's where high energy performance coaching has become an asset. So it is not cookie cutter, folks. It is different for everybody because we all come from a different place. We all
Hmm.
come from a different place. So my program is designed to help each individual person based on the information that you give me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that is so wonderful because here again, it's a free complimentary 30-minute consultation with Donna. You can get in touch with her and she'll be glad to help you any way she can. And I'm glad you mentioned breathing because it reminds us something Dr. Grant taught all of us about breathing because, you go to the doctor, take a deep breath, and your chest rises.
Right.
You're not getting proper oxygen.
Oh, yeah. He talked to me about that. He said, you're a
Me
chest breather,
too.
Donna. He said, you need to breathe from the belly. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I have to consciously make myself breathe from my belly.
Yeah. Because when you breathe in, ladies and gentlemen, your belly should expand. And, a lot of times, a lot of people don't like that because, some of us have a little bit more around the waist than others, but still, the bottom line is your body needs oxygen. So what's more important to you, your vanity or your health?
Right.
And
because when we're not getting enough, what he told me, and I'm sure he told you, Jim, we're not getting enough in our brain.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem. That's where that belly breathing comes into place. That when you breathe in deep from your belly, it comes all throughout your body and hits into your brain.
Oh, yeah. When you have your good alkaline water and you're breathing better and all that, you've improved your health big time, and it did not cost you a penny, so to speak, except for the baking soda and the water or whatever. But I mean, realistically, that's something that everybody can afford, and breathing is something that everybody can do, and it's obviously free.
Right.
And it's just amazing. And one of the things too we want to share with you is the people we have a special relationship with. They're a charity they're our only charity that we recognize because we only have one. We only deal in ones. We have one charity. We have things like that. But Shelter to Soldier is a beautiful organization. They save lives, not only with dogs, but also with humans. And of course, keep the family members from suffering from losing a loved member to suicide.
Right.
These guys go into the animal shelters and they get the bigger dogs that are not real high on the list or probability of being adopted out. And to keep them from being put to sleep, they start training these dogs to recognize TBIs, which is traumatic brain injuries, and PTSD. And then by interviewing soldiers, people who have suffered from PTSD or traumatic brain injuries, they have a good idea of what this person is like. They also know the dog's personality, and they'll bring in 4 or 5 dogs and set them down with the veteran and let the dog and the veteran bond. And the beauty in that is there's a couple of things. Number one, if you donate $100 to the sheltertosoldier.org and let us know, you can get in touch with us. You can reach Donna at her her email address there, or you can just email us here at the TV station, inspiration@d360tv.com. We will then introduce you to Mr. X we had on a few weeks ago for 9 shows, and he's a marketing guru. He will give you a free 30-minute consultation of your business.
Right.
And Mr. X, I'm going to let you share a little bit about him, Donna.
Well, Mr. X has the most remarkable marketing mind I've ever come across.
Oh, yeah.
And anybody who's in the marketing business either knows of him or has taken courses from him, including Jim. And what is amazing is he doesn't talk in ways that it's hard to understand. It's very simple application. But he works with the top Fortune 100 folks, not 500, 100. So this man knows his stuff. He walked into the boardroom of Home Depot with his team and landed the account with a fish story. And I'm not making that up. I'm not making that up. He nailed it with a fish story. But this guy is just amazing. He will absolutely give you an overview of what works, what isn't working, what could work better, and he will help you out. Because, in all honesty, we know him well.
Yes.
His true love is to help the little guy, entrepreneur, to get from where you are here to where you want to be.
Plus, he is a first-class gentleman all the way around.
Yes,
He's just, Mr. X, I almost call him by his first name. And there's a reason why he's going by Mr. X right now, because of a car accident and lawyers getting involved. And, he's not that bad, or all that stuff. So that's the reason why. That's the very condensed version. But the thing that I like about him, he's so down to earth. He didn't let his success go to his head.
Nope.
He remembers how he struggled when he started, and that's his heart and that's his passion. And one of the funniest stories, and I love telling this story, was he was with Embry Freight there in Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm going to give a very short, condensed version of this because time is of the essence. But when he first went down to Embry there in Jacksonville, Florida, this was back in the early 80s, and he's getting their business built up because they hired him to build up the business down there. Right. And they only had a little small, plane, maybe definitely one pilot, kind of a deal, just flying there, a little bit bigger than a crop duster, I guess. And they drop off stuff and they pick up stuff and fly out. Well, he using his skills and marketing ability, and they got a bigger and bigger and bigger plane. Well, back in those days, when he got up to a 727, he said, wow, this is big news. Right. So he contacts corporate office there and he says, well, it's not that big of a deal. We land those kind of planes all over LA, Chicago, blah, blah, blah. And he says, no, you got to understand something. In Jacksonville, Florida, this is big news because the economy is growing. Right. And he shared with us, and he will share with you ways that you get your content publicly printed and advertised for free. Okay? You can't beat that, right? You can definitely afford that, right? But anyway, he went to the news media and he got all this advertising and stuff, and people, wow, that's really neat. And he actually had the Port Authority and a local TV news crew on the ground at the airport at 4:30 in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. Right. And they were there filming, watching an airplane land.
Right.
What does that tell you about his marketing ability, huh?
He knows what he's doing.
And Mr. X is going to be working with Mr. Aaron Hymas here in the future. I've already introduced them, and they've met, and they like each other. They've gelled, because you got to have like-minded people to be successful in your team. Correct. And he's going to be working with Aaron about helping promote events and all that. And Mr. X is like a breath of fresh air to everybody that meets him. He helps every single business entrepreneur. He can help you. If you donate $100 to the sheltertosoldier.org and let us know here at Inspiration E360 TV, we will personally introduce you to Mr. X. He will give you a complimentary 30-minute, no strings attached,
right,
evaluation of your business. How much money would that be worth to you, huh?
Oof. A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Our marketing partner, of course, is the 6minutewebinar.com. If you're struggling getting your message out, like you ask people, what do they do? What do you do? And like a lot of people in our industry is, well, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I'm a speaker, and I was talking to Mr. X yesterday. In fact, I was on the phone with him for 3 hours. 2 hours and 45 minutes. Okay. And he says, what really gets me, Jim, is I hear all these people talk about being a life coach. Everybody's a life coach. He says, I think we got more life coaches than we got people. But see, when you say the same thing that everybody else does, you sound like a human parrot.
Right.
What is it that you do? Not your titles, but what you do for someone else, like these young entrepreneurs, like that young lady with the Smart Kane. Oh, my goodness gracious.
That is amazing.
Oh, And the thing, instead of building a company, she said it was a valuation of $1 billion, I think. She wanted to create something that would impact 1 billion
Billion
people.
people.
Ooh, mercy, mercy, mercy. And I'm going to tell the story about a young man by the name of Jack. Let's see, it's Bonneau. Is that Bonu? Is that right?
Bonu, I believe.
Okay, he's 13 years of age. And I got to read this, ladies and gentlemen, because his story is unique. He said he's the founder and CEO of Jack's, Stands, and Marketplaces and Teen Hustl. And hustle is spelled Hustl. 5 years ago, when Jack desperately wanted to buy Lego's Star Wars Death Star, the price on it was $400, way more than he had in his wallet at the age of 8. So he set up a lemonade stand at his local farmer's market. In 12 weeks, he says, I made $900 in profit. He says, I never knew anything like that was possible. So that lit him up. He wanted to make it possible for other kids too, right out of the gate. Think about that. A lot of entrepreneurs, when they start, making money, all they want to think is, how can I butter my own bread?
Me.
Yeah, that's when you cheat yourself out of the true riches of life. Immediately, this young man thought, hey, I want to make it possible for other kids too. And he launched a one-stop destination for children's commerce for a $15 fee now. Jack, along with his dad, would help kids in the Denver and Boulder, Colorado area set up a branded Jack's, Stands, and Marketplaces stands. They'd spend 30 minutes helping to get the operation running for the day, and then check back several hours later to review a profit and loss statement. Over 4 years, hundreds of kids have operated thousands of these stands around the city. As he starts his freshman year of high school, he is transitioning Jack Stands to a non-profit organization. That way he can partner with larger organizations and grow beyond Colorado. This is what he said. He's also working on his next big idea. He says, Teen Hustl, Hustl, an app that gives teens access to gig economy. He said, my dad told me back in the 1980s, millions of teens used to have their own paper routes and babysitting business. And I was like, wow, really? Now, because of the internet, those jobs have been taken by adults. But teens are the most tech savvy, so why not plug them in to that? And Teen Hustl will operate as a sort of hyper-local DoorDash or Postmates, serviced exclusively by neighborhood teens making deliveries on bikes or scooters within 2 to 3 miles of a store or restaurant. He says the big guys focus on serving cities, while there are 24 million teens across America ready to work these untapped markets. He says that's a big opportunity, and he is so right. And that is one of the things that Mr. X can help you, is to tap into, these untapped markets.
Right.
I mentioned earlier about being on the phone with him yesterday from 3 to 5:45. He opened my eyes on something that we're going to be working on to be a blessing to others. Mm-hmm. And Donna, I'm 73 years of age, so to open my eyes, I mean, he did it.
Right. Right.
Amazing. Gosh.
Well, I love the fact that this young man saw the need to help fellow teenagers. You know, in the 70s, I had a paper route, and there was a few of us girls, but there wasn't too many girl paper carriers. And I had that paper route from the time I was 9 to the time I believe I was almost 14. And I had 120 papers to deliver. Now, understand, I live in Arizona. So, when you say it's what the temperature of the sun is, I can attest to it. It is so hot. And that was back in the day, Jim, you remember when we didn't have lightweight bikes.
No, ma'am. Those things were built to last.
Right? It could probably
Yeah.
still be going today. And so,
Yeah.
there was the weight of my bike, and then there was, 120 papers stuffed in these bags, flipped over my
Mhm.
handlebars, and then myself. So probably all told, I'm pedaling well over 300 pounds of weight.
Mm,
And I did that every day except Sunday, Monday through Saturday. Sunday was my
mm.
only day off. And the
Wow.
way back then, we would collect for the paper, but any tips we got, that was how we made our money.
Mhm.
And I was really blessed. I got a lot of tips at Christmas time, and I was able to buy my own Christmas presents for my family. But
Mm.
with society the way it is today, and this is what I'm getting at, I love what he's doing for young teenagers who want to work. It is you have to be very careful in
Mhm.
what you allow your children to do because of the
Mhm.
dangers that we have in society.
Right, right.
And so they're taking that step to make it a little safer for people.
Mhm. Absolutely. And Donna, what I loved about him, as soon as he saw he could make money, his focus went, I can help other kids make
Right.
money.
Right.
That's something us
Hello.
adults, we don't, that's something most of us adults, including me, that's not the first thought in our mind.
Right.
Our focus is on expansion.
Right.
More, more, more. I mean, as pitiful as that sounds, at least I'm being honest.
Hmm.
Question is, are you honest with yourself? Think about that.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
These
What kind of
these
a lesson can we learn from that young man, Donna?
Oh my goodness gracious. What lessons, let me rephrase the question, Jim. What lessons can't we learn
Hmm.
from both the young lady and the young man?
Oh my goodness,
What
yes, that
lessons
young one.
can't we
Oh,
learn?
those two there. My goodness gracious, they smacked the ball out of the park, including the big park of called Yellowstone.
Right?
And it's at least 10 or 15 acres up there, ain't it, Donna? Yellowstone.
Oh, maybe 25. Maybe 25.
Yeah, her and Edgy went up there on their honeymoon, and I saw in the news for some reason since they went up there, the place has never been the same. I don't know
Oh,
why.
whatever.
I got a
Whatever.
teaser once in a while.
No, but I am absolutely in love with the fact that these young entrepreneurs are going the extra mile for
Hmm.
mankind, not themselves.
Hmm.
And their enthusiasm toward helping other people is forefront in their mind.
Hmm. Absolutely. And one of our good friends, True Life Purpose Now, he will give you a free 30-minute complimentary um, consultation on helping you get out of your past
Right.
and get into your future. He's the author of The 7 Levels of Truth. I think I got that book right here. Yes, ma'am, I do. That's the book you can find on Amazon, 7 Levels of Truth. His name is Mr. Bill Heinrich. And Bill took 25 years in writing this book.
Hmm. He's
He
a
walked,
remarkable man.
yes, ma'am, he walked away from his life. He says, the only thing I took was my name. He said, because my life was a train wreck.
Hmm.
He used to drink. He no longer drinks. He had all kind of problems. And he went on a journey to find himself.
Hmm.
And just like Donna's journey, she says, hey, there's other people who's going to go down this path. I want to help them. Just like the things that I learned, I want to share it with them. I want to be encouraging to them. I want to help them, you know, in their hour of need. And just go to truelifepurposenow.com and Mr. Bill Heinrich and just tell Bill that you heard about us here on the show and to kindly, he'll be more than happy to schedule a 30-minute free consultation session with you. And what's amazing is that he asks you questions that make you think.
Right.
And it clears up a lot of the cobwebs in your mind. I sat
Absolutely.
down I sat down several years ago with Bill, And I just sat down with him at a table because he was sitting there drinking a cup of coffee. And I just sat up and walked up and said, "Hey, Bill, how you doing?" "Fine." And for some reason, he started talking to me and he started asking me questions. And I was honest in the questions. And he says, "Jim, you need to take that story to people."
Mm-hmm.
And I created the course, Your Future Is Now. In fact, that's the name of my radio show that I started about 3 or 4 years ago. And I was on the radio before for many years and got tired of it and walked away. But I started a radio show. It's on TogiNet. It's live every Friday at 12 noon Eastern time. And it's entitled Your Future Is Now. And we've been picked up by all the major podcasts. And a lot of the smaller podcasts have picked up our show. And we're very thankful for that, because here again, just like me and Donna right here on TV, it's not about us. It's not what we want to say. It's what does the audience want to hear.
Right.
And it's all about providing good, what we call infotainment to you. But Donna said I could not sing. So,
No.
yeah, she knows that I was a backup singer for years.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They get ready to start singing. They turn around and look at me and say, "Back up, back up. Keep backing up. You're all right. Keep backing up." But I like singing. Singing in the shower, oh yeah. Suds it up, clean up and all those good things, you bet. But it's good to enjoy yourself. And that's important in life, to be able to sit down in the quiet solitude of your life. Think about what these young entrepreneurs have done. Think about how, let's be honest, because I'm talking about myself here too.
Right.
How selfish I was in my decisions about how I can butter my own bread. That's a train wreck, ladies and gentlemen.
And it's human nature, but the lesson here is learning that when you give to others, you get more in return.
Mm-hmm. As the old proverb says, the old proverb says, the generous person by watering others will be watered themselves.
Right.
And notice that you got to put forth effort first. You got to be willing to water other people's before you can be watered.
Right.
And so many people, when they do something, they want to do it for them. Well, good luck with that.
Right.
Because you're out of balance with everything: life, love, liberty, abundance of life. It's kind of like, you go to fill up your car at the gas station with fuel, and you decide to put a bucket of sand in there to fill up the tank.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Got to be a clog there.
Yeah. Even if you're a little slow in between the ears, you'll figure out that wasn't a smart thing to do. But a lot of people do that in their life over and over and over again.
Right. You put something in your body that clogs the wheels that make everything work. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's, how we eat and our health, folks, or what we think of up here, because honestly, I can tell you from an energy aspect that if you let somebody, including yourself, rent negative space here, that negative space is going to follow you all in your body, because energy is a synopsis. So what we feed our energy is what we get. So if you feed it love and good positive thoughts, that's what you're going to get back.
Like my mother used to tell me, you reap what you sow. But most importantly, the thing of it is, ladies and gentlemen, you are what you think about.
Yep.
That can make you, do a checkup from the neck up, as Zig Ziglar used to say. Right. And if you like a great thing about teaching you about energy in life and, what your calling is in life, what you're entitled to. You're not entitled to, we're born in a world of survival, worry, work, complaint, envy, greed, all those things. That's part of who we are. We don't like to admit it, but it's part of every human makeup. We have to, recognize that it's the enemy. But you're entitled and you actually deserve to live in love and abundance. That's your gift.
It is.
And you can listen to Earl Nightingale on YouTube there, The Strangest Secret. And we don't have time today for me to share with you how I met him, but I just simply tell people, back when I met him, I was young and dumb. The only two things in my mind was that I wanted a fast car and I wanted a pretty girlfriend. And evidently my car wasn't that fast because I never got the pretty girlfriend.
Until you got married.
That's right. That's right. And I was driving a VW then. I think, well, if I can't catch him on the fast end, I'll try the back, the slow end there.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. Donna, our time is gone. We've had a wonderful time.
It is. But, we will be back tomorrow, same time,
Yes.
same place. We will be ending our week on young entrepreneurs, our future, and how amazing these young people are.
Mm-hmm. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much from our hearts for tuning in, because we realize you have the prerogative to watch any show, anytime, any place, anywhere. But you chose to spend some time with us. And we sincerely hope and pray from the bottom of our hearts that our show has been worthy of your time. Thank you so much.
We'll see you
Be
tomorrow.
sure to love yourself first, love others, and then you got the world in your hip pocket. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.